Eternal life or second death? Well, being the fact that it is the 4th of July, I thought free to do one of my Navy sea stories with you guys. The picture that you see here before you is a very well-known photograph back in the 1950s during the Korean conflict. You know, after the Second World War, during the Second World War and the years following that, the Navy and the other services were really in full development of trying to get the helicopter to become a usable vessel for search and rescue, primarily logistics, you know, getting people moved from one place to another, and anti-submarine warfare. But they really saw the value in being able to rescue people who had fallen over the side of the ship or planes that had crashed. And you see here in this scene a plane that has crashed off of this aircraft carrier in the Korean War, and the pilot being rescued. And it's an incredible picture. I've just always been fascinated with this scene that you see here. But what they found as time went on, about a decade went on, with just one helicopter with one pilot hovering over the top of that pilot in the water and running a hoist down and just trying to look out the window and see where the pilot was and put the hoist down there and have them hook up by themselves and then hoist them back into the helicopter and then go land on the ship. And what they began to find was that those pilots in the water, many times they couldn't help themselves and get into that rescue strop and be rescued. Many times they were tangled up in their parachute, or they were just injured and they couldn't rescue themselves. They couldn't just hook themselves up and get up into the helicopter. And so what the Navy did was they developed the position of a rescue swimmer. And their motto was, so others may live. So others may live. We're going to risk our own lives so that others may have a chance to live. And that was kind of the motto of the rescue swimmer, still is the motto of the rescue swimmer and people in search and rescue really all over the world. But as you look at that scene a little bit closer, I think, again, as you zoom in on it, there's some incredible things that we're seeing with this photo. The parachute has become full of air because of that rotor wash blowing the air into the parachute. And that would really become a huge endangerment, not only for the pilot, but for the helicopter itself, as that parachute could be blown out of the water and come up into the rotor arc of that helicopter and really cause some catastrophic problems there. But what you also see there is that pilot is strung up on the parachute lines or the shroud lines of that parachute. And so he's being kind of pulled apart in some respects as the parachute's trying to pull him one way because it's being blown by the rotor arc, and the helicopter pilot is trying to hoist him up into the helicopter. And I don't know if you can see that line there that runs, but the hoist is up here near the cockpit area. And it should be going straight down to that pilot, but it looks to me as if it got hung up on this axle, this tire here. And so the pilot is stuck in that position. And so what the Navy decided was, you know, because of situations like this, you know, we really need to get a rescue swimmer down into the water. We need to deploy a swimmer to get down in there to disentangle that pilot from whatever shroud lines or whatever wreckage of their aircraft they're entangled in, and really help them into that aircraft to get saved. And so the training became for the rescue swimmer, first of all, to get a hold of that pilot and gain control of them and never let them go. Because, you know, at night, obviously, if you find them one time, you may never find them again if you let them go. The water could take them away. And then to begin to disentangle them from their entrapment of the parachute and all those things. Another thing that could happen with the parachute is if it went underwater and fully deployed underwater in the balloon shape, the water itself could act as a weight to pull that pilot down and take him to the bottom of the ocean. It could be thousands of pounds of water weight that could pull that pilot down. And so they needed to deploy that rescue swimmer. They had to come up with that means of getting that pilot back into the aircraft. What they found also in their training was that as a rescue swimmer would jump into the water, oftentimes the survivor in that water would jump on the rescue swimmer and try to save themselves by drowning the rescue swimmer. And so a lot of the training is involved with just gaining control of them, so they're not controlling you and those kind of things. But it's an incredible photo that you're seeing there. Well, thankfully, this particular pilot, was eventually freed from that parachute and was able to be hoisted into the aircraft. But I have so often thought of this scene here and other scenes like it, and just the mission of the rescue swimmer. And it comes to my mind that, Jesus really is the ultimate rescue swimmer. Jesus jumped out of the security of heaven, if you will, and all of the glory that he had in heaven, as the Father deployed him to come down to this earth, to jump into this place that is so dangerous, is so fraught with all kinds of things that could just really take you out in a very quick amount of time. Jesus voluntarily jumped in to this scene. He is the rescue swimmer. He comes, and at his own peril, he came down here. And as we think about this idea of rescuing, can there be any greater rescue than the rescue that Jesus has provided for us? And coming down here to rescue all of mankind and to give us that eternal life. Because the alternative is the second death, what we're looking at here today. Well, again, seeing Jesus as that rescue swimmer, it's throughout the Old Testament, we see God coming and rescuing the nation of Israel. And we see them calling for rescue, right? Psalm 144:7, David said, "Stretch out your hand from above, rescue me and deliver me out of great waters."